Hello and welcome back to the TT Circuit Assen. It is round 4 of the Moto E World Cup, and coming your way very shortly we have the E-Pole session here at the Cathedral of... This is the first weekend that the Electric Series has sent their Energica Ego Corsa machines around this beautiful newly resurfaced ribbon of tarmac. Presents an all-new challenge once again for the Cup riders. Coming into this weekend is Alessandro Zaccone, leading the way by a singular point ahead of Dominique Aegerter. Jordi Torres, the Cup winner from last year, is in 3rd position in the standings from Mikel Pons. Mattia Casadei, not Piscini, that it. Eric Granado there in 6th place as well. Only 11 points separate the top 3 in the standings. It really is all to play for. There is this race here tomorrow, and then thereafter we have three more races after tomorrow. 1 in Austria and 2 in Misano in San Marino. A double-header that weekend. Moto E always throws up such drama here, and coming into this E-Pole session, of course, the riders will start in reverse order from where they finished in the combined free practice times. It was Zaccone who led the way, from Eric Granado, from Dominique Aegerter, Lucas Tulovic in 4th and Jordi Torres in 5th. Here are those confirmed standings from earlier on. Obviously, it's an all-time lap record so far for Alessandro Zaccone. He was one of 3 riders in the 142s. You can see there Granado just behind, and Dominique Aegerter, the final rider in that 142 bracket. Tulovic led the 143s from Torres, Ferrari, Aldeguer, Yoni Hernandez and Hikari Okubo. Mikel Pons 10th from Corentin Perilari, Xavi Cardalus, Mattia Casadei, managed this weekend, but fortunately he's okay. Saw him doing donuts on his scooter earlier on in the paddock. How great fun. Zanone and Herrera there 15th and 16th. And her local home, Ivamania. We got the fans here cheering him on. 17th place from Andre Perez, who will be starting the proceedings here in E-Pole. Myself, Matt Dunn, bringing you this one alongside me as ever, Neil Morrison. Down in pit lane we have Fran Wild. Nice to have a bit of support with us, Neil, isn't it? And get some exclusives and find out what's cracking on down in pit lane. That is Andre Perez, the Portuguese rider. We're expecting here this afternoon, Neil, a completely all-new challenge for the riders here today and yesterday as well with Assen.
Exactly, 2nd track in a row that we have an all-new track for this this series, and well, looking forward to seeing some of the responses that we had to the excellent race back in Barcelona a few weeks ago. Yeah, particularly how Alessandro Zaccone is going to react to finishing off the podium for the first time this year. He seems to be in really strong shape here. He was talking very confidently indeed on Thursday afternoon about his prospects this weekend, so I think Zaccone could well be on for a shot at pole. But this is Jasper Ivema, home hero, as Matt just mentioned.
I think it's like 5 years since he's been actually competing here in any kind of racing category. 8 years since he's done the rest of the World Championship races, however. But he does know the circuit like the back of his hand, that is for sure. Not quite seen the potential just yet, though, from Jasper Ivema. Such a different challenge is Moto E, isn't it? Different braking points, different corner speeds. You've got to be so careful out of Distrubum, particularly with 100% torque at the rear wheel, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is Kevin Zanoni coming here on the back of 12th place in Barcelona to really find his feet in this series this year, but he still managed to score points in each of the races that we've had so far in 2021. What can he do? He was Zanoni 15th in the free practice standings.
Last time out, of course, back in Barcelona, it was Mikel Pons who took that victory. You'll remember just eking out enough of a gap on the final lap to evade any attacks from the like of Dominique Aegerter and Jordi Torres filling out the podium there. Pretty exciting race that got off to a crazy start, didn't it? Of course, with Eric Granado having a technical issue from pole position, having to start from the pit lane, no less. I mean, doesn't get much more dramatic than that. And judging by the beeps, you can see it there. Andre Perez will be getting us underway with E-Pole very, very shortly. So, no such issues with the bridge this time around. That is good news for everyone. And what's more good news, Neil, isn't it? no wet e-pole, despite the weather forecast here today.
Yeah, we were expecting some showers throughout today on Saturday, but so far it's dry conditions for all of the sessions. And well, let's pass down to our roving pit lane reporter Fran Wild to check a little bit of what it's like down in pit lane. Fran.
Thanks, Neil. For everyone listening at home, I did just roast slightly the gorgeous way that Neil says showers there on the feedback. But yeah, it's very sunny down in pit lane, surprisingly so. Really, really nice weather. And after you said the forecast seemed like it could be a bit hit or miss. Maybe we would have had chance to try out that new wet e-pole format, but no. Nice and bright and everyone looking pretty prepared. Zacconi and Tulovic just headed off a little bit. And I said, well, are you lads off then? And they seem very relaxed. I'm like, yeah, we'll come back in a minute. So obviously with their speed this weekend, they'll be heading out in quite a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that update there, Fran. Then glorious sunshine now beating down on Andre Perez as he continues his outlap here. If you do want a bit more of an insight as to what it's really like behind the scenes as well with Moto E e-pole, head to the MotoGP YouTube channel. What really happens in a Moto E e-pole session, a mini documentary style piece of content video there for you to watch, about 5, 6, 7 minutes to see what how the riders prep for the session, what their reactions are, watching in the hot seat, etc. Because we don't quite see everything when we're concentrating on the track action, do we? So, but surprisingly, one thing I did learn from it: everyone is surprisingly quiet, not very conversational before heading out on track.
Yeah, everyone's just in the zone, you feel, because well, so much is at stake across this one single lap. Obviously, that's one of the interesting things about this qualifying format. You've just got one shot at it, and that can really greatly impact your result. I mean, I'm stating the obvious here, but yeah, so Perez gets it a bit crossed up going into turn 1. He's managed to improve his lap times by the tune of 3 seconds from FP1 to FP3. But let's see what the Portuguese rider can do. A man that's had a seriously varied career, Matt. We've not only seen him in the Moto E World Cup, but he's also been riding superbikes back in Portugal, national championship there. He's been road racing as well.
Yep, the Macau Grand Prix, the Isle of Man TT. I mean, a very experienced rider on our screens right now. And look at this. This must be one of the most exciting corners to tackle on a Moto E-bike there. Turn 6, right-hander, then breaking it down into turn 7. And okay, Andre Perez might be somewhat off the pace of what the other riders were able to put in during the free practice sessions, but still, all credit to him for taming the beast round at the Cathedral of Speed. No mean feat whatsoever. But I tell you what then, as we look at the weather, glorious weather beating down on, what have you got for us down in pit lane? How's things been looking?
It's a little bit off topic considering what you were talking about, but I thought I'd just take the chance to say I had a bit of a catch up with the Cup Executive Director Nicolas Goubert earlier in the weekend, and he said one thing that came from the Eric Granado technical issue that he had on the grid in Barcelona was that now the mechanics have been told that they should make sure the bikes are turned on before they leave the grid. So hopefully there won't be any more issues like Eric sadly had there for what looks like it was going to be a real battle for him at the front throughout. So hopefully then, if there are any problems as well, they can slightly delay that, and then it will avoid having to force a rider into a pit lane start, which is quite a penalty in Moto E, obviously, with the shorter race distance.
Yeah, you're right, Fran. Absolutely massive penalty it was for Eric Granado. Really undid so much of the good work that he had put in right the way through the weekend in Barcelona. He said that, well, just kind of to echo what Fran said, he went to turn the bike on whenever his technicians, his mechanics left him on the grid, and it wouldn't do so. Actually, he made the Virtu officials aware of what was going on. They came to retrieve him. He turned his bike off again, hit it on, it turned on, but by that time he was informed that he had to leave the grid. So pretty unfortunate stuff for the Brazilian.
Yeah, pretty heartbreaking, wasn't it, for Granado? Done so much work, and then of course it went from bad to worse. He was on a great hunt through the field, wasn't he? Trying to claw back as many points as he could, but then crashed out. And I think, yes, okay, we've mentioned before about Granado that he's had issues with consistency, but I don't think that's a reflection of the same former Eric Granado coming out again. I think that's a whole new different set of circumstances. I still believe that he has turned a screw and is able to cope with that pressure much better. We saw it so perfectly in Le Mans, possibly the most high pressure of circumstances, the real heat of battle, the best Moto E race ever, and he pulled off a final lap, final corner move. I think that's the Granado that we could well see again here this weekend.
Yeah, because he's been super fast through free practice, had 3 pole positions from 3 islands this year. He's certainly the quickest man on Saturday. It's all about translating that into a series of consistent results as he looks to overturn a 26-point deficit in the championship. But we'll come on a bit more to Granado later. We're going to pass down to Fran once more.
I was just going to add my opinion on that, which was I would agree with you guys completely. I think as well, given that we had 6 laps in the end in Barcelona, starting from pit lane, it's the kind of situation where I think you have to push and risk going over that limit to even have a chance of catching the field, as Eric did. And I was checking all the fastest laps by rider for the preview as well for this weekend, and he was over half a second clear of anyone else's best. So it really was pushing on. But yeah, hopefully we'll get to see every one of those guys who's been so quick this year in the battle at the front here with a little bit less drama at the race start.
And thank you for that, Fran. As we pay attention to the track action once again, Maria Herrera's putting in her flying lap, coming through the first sector at some point very soon, out of Destruben down the back straight, half a second quicker at the moment than Jasper Iverma was with his fastest time, a 1:46.879, just 0.2 of a second slower than his quickest lap time from the free practice sessions. But Maria half a second quicker than that at the first sector, could be on course to better her best lap time of the weekend so far as well, with a 1:44.732, half a second quicker at the moment, could still be on course. But not really had a proper look at these Moto E bikes going around Assen. I mean, myself and Neil have done, we've been able to see something trackside. It's such an easily navigational, what would be the right word for that? Either way, managed to hop from one side of the track to the other. Very, very easy to watch these Moto E bikes go round, and it's incredibly impressive, as you can probably tell through this final sector. Ultra fast in all the categories of motorcycles that we have here. Look at this, through Ruskin Hook and up to the GT chicane. Maria Herrera comes 1 second quicker at the third split. I think this could be brand new provisional pole time.
Yeah, you got there in the end, man, with
Thank you very much,
what
Neil.
you wanted to say. Proud of you as Maria Herrera comes across the line, and indeed it is, well, quite a gap that she puts into the rest, a 1:44.9. Very impressive stuff there for Maria, and yeah, that's just 0.2 of a second off her best lap time so far this weekend. 42.6 is the quickest we've seen in this class so far from Alessandro Zacconi. So we've still got some way to go in terms of bringing the lap times down.
I was just going to say on Maria, I think the physicality here is a bit of a bigger challenge for her, obviously being a little bit smaller. Like Granado and Zacconi especially, a little bit stockier. Tulovic obviously pretty tall, but she said it's the most physical track so far for the Moto E. So getting there, making some steps forward, but a bit of a bigger challenge than Barcelona for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really physical track, I think, across MotoGP, certainly Moto2 as well. And it's those really fast changes of direction, I'm sure, where you have to haul 260 kilos of Energica Corsa machinery from right to left, left to right. This being one of the examples here at the end of the back straight into this really fast chicane. I'm sure that does take it out of you after a couple of laps. But the excellent Michelin tires that this class have must just love these high-speed corners. Spent so much time on the edge of the tire around this Assen track, and obviously these tires designed for short distances, super soft, super sticky, lots of grip there as they keep these bikes leant over, especially through these fast series of rights that bring the track to an end.
God, that was a spectacular watch through there, wasn't it? I mean, just so ultra high speed. We know these Moto E bikes love high corner speeds as well, don't they? So this is quite a spectacle to behold of them going around Assen for the very first time on the old telly. third split through comes Zanone, a quarter of a second quicker, but what about across the finish line as well? Over he comes. Does he go provisional pole? Yes, he does, by 0.247 of a second. So that pushes Maria provisionally down to P2 for now. That time is 0.4 of a second slower than what Zanone managed to put in the combined free practice time. Something on that, Neil, which really impressed me. 1:42.676, the quickest time from Zaccone, as we look at Mantovani starting his first flying lap. Mantovani down in P14, only 1.5 seconds off for a brand new track on the calendar. That is incredibly close indeed, don't you think?
Yeah, not too bad at all. Pretty close times we're seeing right the way down the field. So let's see whether that is reflected in this e-pole session. That was Mantovani and Casadei exiting. Oh, and that's a big moment.
That is exactly what we're on about with the Strubben turn 5. I mean, you got so much torque at the rear wheel, you have to be oh so careful with how you apply the throttle there, and Mantovani just got possibly the biggest warning of his life on these Moto E bikes, didn't he?
Yeah, he certainly did.
Good lord. That was absolutely enormous. Here's a replay of what happened. Yeah, I was reading through the old stories of what went on yesterday. Whoa. And Ryder that's had 2 crashes so far this weekend. Did not want to add a third to that tally. And interestingly enough, actually, just also received a message from our dear colleague Simon Crayford as well. He caught up with Jordi Torres at some point, who had described it as quite difficult to actually. So there's so much grip here, it's actually quite hard to slide, which could well mean that actually it's pretty hard to find the limit of these Energica Ego courses around here. Well, I think Mantovani found it though.
Just about. Yeah, this Assen track obviously has been resurfaced since we last came here in 2019. Loads of grip here. Even in the wet yesterday, some of the riders were saying they were amazed at the amount of grip that the track offered up. As Mantovani comes through at the final chicane, there's no way he'll be touching Zanone or Herrera's time, and he does indeed go third. Decent effort, all things considered, after that scare down at the Strubben.
Big sigh of relief there, I suspect, as he came across. So, who is starting their flying lap now? It's Mantovani and Casadei on the Sig 58 on Getter Squadra Course machine. Casadei, who unfortunately crashed out in the final closing stages of the race in Barcelona, despite a cracking ride through the field. And actually, him down in the gravel at turn 10 could be what put Jordi Torres off making a move on Dominique Aegerter for a higher spot on the podium as well. Could have well influenced the overall outcome. He's looking for vengeance this time out here in Assen.
Yeah, Casadei has it all to do in the championship after that costly crash back in Barcelona. He has been struggling just ever so slightly here in Assen so far this weekend. Obviously, yeah, down in 13th in the free practice standings, but let's see how he gets on in pole. But impressive effort in e-pole from Maria Herrera. She's sitting second as it stands, and she's actually down in Parc Ferme at the moment with Fran.
She is indeed. So Maria, I was just asking you last time out, if everyone watches World Supersport as well, you had a big crash there, then you said this is a very physical track for Moto E. How are you feeling on the bike? You made some good improvements, not far off your best lap here, but how are you finding it here at Assen?
Yes, I was a hard high side in the Super Sport race, and yeah, I a little bit I have pain in my shoulder and my injury in the back. So yeah, for this track it's difficult to move the bike easily because the top speed is high. So I struggle a little bit, but well, we are working hard for try to improve my best time. But tomorrow is another opportunity for us.
Well, there's been some good consistent points so far, so good luck for tomorrow in the race.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, Maria Herrera, for her time there, Fran, for the interview. So sorry, she's walking wounded as well as struggling with the general physicality of the TT circuit Assen. Just saw Casadei come across the line for provisional P1. Really impressed, actually, that some of these riders are very much on par with their best free practice time with only one out lap of warm-up. This is impressive form as we now look at Cardelus navigate his way through turn 5 as well. Easy on the throttle as sends it down the back straight once more.
Certainly going off Moto 3 and Moto 2 this weekend, Matt. I mean, quite a lot of guys have been having issues with the track limits, and obviously that has had a bit of an effect on this Moto E-Pole session in previous tracks at previous circuits. Oh, and
it will just there as well.
There
Neil, was that a commentator's curse? I think that's, well, first one of the weekend then. Xavi Cardelus will be have his lap scrubbed from the history books and to the back of the grid, unfortunately, but no point in letting off the throttle too much there anyways, because every lap is another lap that you can gain, you can learn something from, tweak your setup, work out a new line, and oh so precious. So Cardelus, well then, no matter how well he does, 3/10 off, that could put him still in second spot, but it's not going to count. Lap cancelled, there you have it. So then, well, what about, what do you reckon then, Fran?
Well, I think as well, here with the final chicane, track limits there, obviously in E-Pole, unfortunately for Xavi Cardelus, he is just on that green, on that lap, so that's cancelled. But in general, those track limits at the final chicane, it can also affect your next lap. Which is something they do look at, because obviously the speed that you can gain through there then carries forward and may improve your next lap after that as well. Not so relevant in E-Pole, but definitely relevant overall. And yeah, unfortunately then, Cardelus, he must be the first one since Ferrari to end up at the back for that now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Matteo Ferrari had to start from the back of the grid at the first race of the season and did all his good work in qualifying up until that point. And well, I think on one or two occasions in the past we've also had the same thing happen to Eric Granado. So these guys have to be super careful to try and take the bike to the limits, but with track limits in mind, with a certain few corners on this track. Yeah, obviously Cardelus showing that the outside of turn 8 is one of the problem areas.
Well, the Frenchman Corentin Perellari's up at the first split then by 39 hundredths of a second. So this is pretty impressive from the Frenchman, who finished 11th in the combined free practice times, a best time of 1 minute 43.932. Coincidentally, the exact same time that Xavi Cardelus set in the free practice sessions as well. As gaps come down ever so slightly, but could well be provisional pole, as we were just looking at also Mikel Pons pitting out to start his outlap as well. Mikel Pons, I mean, the highs and lows of racing from one weekend, winning the race at what is technically a home race for the Mallorcan, to the very next Moto E weekend in a 10th place in the combined free practice times, but could well find himself making substantial improvements coming into this. Perellari's just lost a bit more time in that third split, but can make it all up in this final part of the circuit into the GT chicane. 3 more corners to go for the Frenchman. What can he do here? Easy with the track limits as well. Really pulling the bike from one side to the other across the line, and loses even more time in the final sector. But second place for Perellari, provisionally speaking.
Yeah, decent performance from the Frenchman so far. He's managed a best qualifying performance of 13th so far. So yeah, that is a potential best qualifying for him. That means Maria Herrera, however, will be moved out of the Parc Ferme, unfortunately. As we have Mikel Pons, as Matt mentioned, not been a straightforward time for the LCR rider during this weekend. He was absolutely sensational in Barcelona a couple of weeks back, really taking the fight to the rest of the field. Got to the front, and yeah, no one else could really live with him. Pons, well, he'll really be cursing himself.
Oh, nearly again then. Neil, what are you doing? Cursing everybody. Goodness me. That was a slide and a half, wasn't it? Good grief. That'll lose a lot of time for Pons then. This could be disastrous for the Mallorca. Not quite as disastrous as this almost was in beautiful slow motion. Look at it go speedway style. Wow. Goodness me. Well, the risk versus reward factor strikes again here in Moto E.
I was just going to add as well, guys, until that moment, obviously Mikel Pons, one of a few riding here for the first time compared to much better known turf in Barcelona. But unfortunately, no spoilers, but the Moto 3 pole sitter certainly makes that a little bit less of a reason why you shouldn't be straight back on the pace, apparently. So It's an interesting one, though, I think, with Pons saying in the Thursday press conference as well that he'd maybe changed his expectations for the year after that win. So it'll need quite a ride on Sunday, I think, to try and get some more solid points here in the Netherlands.
Yeah, absolutely. Pons coming through the ram's hook and into the final GT chicane. Relatively clean through there compared to earlier in the lap.
Oh, and a few more bit of bucking and weaving as he comes out the final corner and across the line into provisional P3. He'll be disappointed with that, will Pons?
Yeah, he certainly will. Pons, I mean, had it not been for that crash on the Artin lap at Le Mans, didn't even make the grid because he crashed on the deciding lap. And well, had it not been for that, he would be right in the midst of the championship fight. As it stands, he's sitting in 4th. And maybe this could be a bit of a damage limitation weekend with that lack of experience, because although it's the first time, obviously, Matt, that Moto E is running here at Assen, so many of these guys have raced here before in Moto 2, in World Supersport, in the instance of Okubo. See there, just
so careful on the throttle, eh?
Yeah.
Got to be. Well, look at that then, first sector. This is the first real shift in lap time that we could potentially see. Okubo a quarter of a second quicker than Casadei there as he tipped it into turn 6 and then turn 7. Become a bit unsettled. We know there's a fairly big bump there. Unsettles a fair few of the Moto 3 bikes if he's slightly offline. Okubo did show some potential straight off the bat this weekend. Finished 5th back in FP1. He has actually said this is one of his actual favourite tracks, so expects a pretty good result. And seems to be going in the right direction. Lost a bit of time in the second sector there, though. But the Japanese rider on course to go provisional pole here as he navigates his way through turns 10 and now up towards turn 11.
Yeah, great style from Okubo through these fast rides here. Really hanging off the bike. And we've seen a couple of flashes. He obviously lacks quite a bit of experience in this category. But back at Le Mans, he was up there fighting with the leaders before he was cruelly taken out by Fermin Aldeguer. So when he knows the track and is feeling comfortable, he certainly is one of the names to look out for in this class. He comes across the line out of the GT chicane. Okubo goes 3rd.
So much time there over the course of the lap. 0.6 of a second from after the first sector. That's quite a puzzling one for Okubo. He'll be disappointed with that, but still a good weekend so far overall for him. That is Mikel Pons, the number 71, being directed back towards the pit position. He finds himself in the pit box, and we're about to see a replay. Oh, don't tell me. Oh no. Oh, dearie me. Lap time cancelled due to exiting pit lane under a red light. Well, Mikel, you're not the first, and you might not be the last to do that, but that's another rider back to the back of the grid then.
Wow, disastrous. I mean, we came here thinking that Mikel was going to be one.
And
Hernandez.
Goodness me, it's another one who's going to go to the back of the grid as well then. Hernandez, what a shame, because he's up at the first split from Casadei. So, goodness me, heartache for 3 riders here. What's going on, Neil?
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen this many lap times cancelled.
Drama.
In an e-pole session. Yeah, those track limits proven to be pretty difficult to follow. And in the case of Mikel Pons, I mean, that is well, I think it happened in the first ever e-pole session that we had. It was almost understandable back then, Matt, because it was a new format for these riders and some of the rules might not have been so clear, but, well, yeah, you can't be making that kind of mistake when it will punish you to the extent that this does.
Yeah, exactly. Don't think you can pull off a complete Matteo Ferrari from the back of the grid to 6th, as we saw in Jerez. Yoni Hernandez, lap cancelled then. What a shame for the Colombian, returning to a circuit which he'll know very well from his MotoGP days.
He led a MotoGP race here in the rain back in 2016. I seem to remember one of the stranger moments in, well, motorcycle racing history was that day when I was looking at the lap chart. Yoni Hernandez in the rain was lapping around 9-10 seconds faster per lap than Jorge Lorenzo, who was the reigning world champion at the time. So, yeah, some good memories of this track from Yoni Hernandez, but this, sadly, is not going to be one of them. Lap time cancelled for exceeding track limits on the exit off the Struben. Just you can see the rear tyre exceeding there, and that is clear as day, I'm afraid. And you can see, he knows.
The instant frustration Well then, what about Fermin Aldeguer, the number 54? Seen plenty of him so far this year, haven't we? Because we have seen track limits considered in case more than one rider failed to. Okay. So in case more than one rider failed to set a time, the free practice times, combined free practice times, are taken into account. So we'll get to that at the end of the session. This is Fermin Aldeguer, though. As I mentioned, seen plenty of him, but how many riders are having massive moments coming out of turn 5?
Yeah, quite a few. Well, Fermin, that was relatively small compared to a few of the other moments that we've seen in this session. But Aldeguer looking aggressive, lots of movement with that bike underneath him from the 16-year-old. And he was relatively sedated by some of his recent performances back in Barcelona. It was a solid performance from him. 6th place after qualifying in 7th.
Which was pretty disappointing, to be honest, given that he finished the combined free practice times on top.
Yeah, very true. But we're all big fans of Fermin Aldeguer in the commentary box here. Had a couple of Moto 2 replacement rides so far this year and has been pretty exceptional in a few of them. And look at this, he's up through the 3rd split.
Final sector then for Aldeguer, the young hotshot rookie, managed by one of the team's more famous alumni, Hector Faubel. So a fair amount of promise if he pulls out and performs well in this team over the course of the season. Across the line he comes, the number 54. Will he go provisional pole? Yes! By 0.045 of a second. How does that compare to his lap time from free practice 3? That was a 1:43.2, so some way off that, but that is the nature of this beast that is the Superpole-like Moto E pole.
Yeah, the reigning Moto E World Cup winner sets off Jordi Torres 3rd in the championship. And yeah, we're expecting big things of Jordi this weekend. But what about the 2019 World Cup winner? This is Matteo Ferrari, who's been a little bit off colour so far this year, you would have to say, Matt. Best result of 6th so far in 2021. Hasn't quite been the regular podium finisher that we sort of came to expect in previous years in this category, but he's looking pretty good so far in this lap. Nice and clean on the exit of turn 5. Not a lot of riders have been able to say that today, and he's 2/10 under through split number 1.
Yeah, quite right, Neil. Ferrari occupies 8th position in the championship, only 27 points to his name so far, compared to the 54 which his fellow countryman Alessandro Ciccone has at the top of the field. He's still up at the 2nd split, however his best lap time from the free practice sessions was a 1:43.162, so we know that he can go a fair bit quicker than the fastest lap so far. He comes through turn 11, now up towards turn 12, the ultra fast right-hander going through this 3rd split. Where will he place? He's still 0.144 under the quickest lap time so far.
Yeah, just a few more corners to negotiate for the Italian. He comes round through the fabulous Ram's Hook corner, breaking down into the GT chicane. You can hear the squeaks and squeals of his rear Michelin rubber as he gets a bit out of shape coming in, but it looked pretty clean to me. I think Ferrari is on course to go first. He is. He only loses a singular 1/10 of a second or so, but that is enough for provisional pole so far. He pushes Corentin Perolari out of the rolling Parc Ferme that we have. This is Lucas Tulovic now, the number 3, getting ready to head out on track, as well as we look at Jordi Torres starting his flying lap, the reigning World Cup winner. Yeah, Torres has lots of experience around this track from his days in Moto 2, also from his World Superbike days as well. And coming here, very consistent form, as you would come to expect from him. 2/3 and a 5th from the 3 races that we've had so far this year. And he said on Thursday that he's going to try and be a little bit more aggressive, because I think Torres has just been slightly cautious in the races that we've had so far. He hasn't risked too much in last lap fights in Jerez and in Barcelona last time out, and I think he was saying that here is maybe the time to stick it on the line a bit more, and well, he's doing just that at the moment.
I think that possibly, sorry to butt in, also the way he won the Cup last year was so dependent on his really impressive consistency, as there seemed to be a little bit more bad luck and trouble for more guys last year, whereas this year I think he's realised, okay, so far so good for the people just ahead of me in the standings. Maybe now I really do need to just take that extra risk than I have been doing, although I doubt he means on Saturday, to be fair, at the moment.
Yeah, certainly looks like he's risking quite a bit as smoke pours off his rear tyre coming out of there. And well, Torres looking absolutely great here, and you think his stockier stature might just help him in these high-speed sections where he needs to wrestle that bike from right to left. Coming through Ramshoek, this is looking pretty good so far for Torres. 0.3 of a second up through split number 3.
God, look at him go through the final corner, just evading the track limits there. 0.3 up at the third split. His provisional pole by nearly 0.4 of a second for Geordie. Narrowly misses a swallow, flying all around on the start and finish straight. That is a great result so far from the reigning World Cup winner. Tulovic now about to start his flying lap, and this is when we can really expect it. The pace to really hot up as well. That time from Torres, the 1:43.4. Well, that would have actually placed him only just inside the top 8 in the free practice session. So over one lap, pretty difficult to go much quicker than the riders, just building up the pace throughout the free practice sessions. Dominic Aegerter heads out on track. What about Tulovic then?
Yeah, Tulovic coming here on the back of an 8th place. Slightly disappointed with that result. Oh,
another rider to have a big twitch out of turn 5.
Yeah, shake of the head. How many riders, Matt, have we seen have big rear-end moments on the exit off the Struben? But somehow Tulovic is still 0.2 under through split number 1.
That is incredibly impressive, isn't it? As he just becomes a little unsettled on the change of direction through towards turn 7. That was just absolutely sensational as we watch him navigate his way around turns 7, 8, and now towards turn 9. Let's pass down to Fran in Parc Ferme. She's got Matteo Ferrari with her.
I have. So Matteo, you've got a lot of experience and some good speed there as well today. How are the track conditions? We've seen a lot of twitches at turn 5 and a few moments for a lot of guys, and a few right at the back of the grid now as well.
Yeah, very difficult condition this afternoon because of the wind, and also about the temperature of the asphalt. At the moment it's 41, and this morning was 20, 24, so a lot of hot on the track. So it was difficult, but I pushed on my limit. I did a good lap, and I try to do my best tomorrow for the race.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Fran and Ferrari, as we look at Tulovic come across the line. Across he comes, and it is provisional pole, 1:43.1 from the German. Not quite as quick as he was able to do in this morning's free practice session, but not far off indeed. As you heard from Ferrari, they do the quicker lap times with the increased heat of the asphalt there as well. Granado pits out now to begin his qualifying run. You can hear Dominic Aegerter coming across the line to begin his flying lap here. What is he capable of here today? So the current front row we have Tulovic, Torres and Ferrari, but how long will it last? We're now watching Dominic Aegerter, the Swiss rider.
Yeah, just 1 point separates Zacconi and Aegerter at the top of the Moto E standard so far this year. There is, well, just 1 point in it. Very, very close. Let's see how the Swiss rider gets on with turn 5 here.
Oh, that's probably the cleanest we've seen for quite some time, isn't it, through there?
Looks pretty good, although he is a 1/4 of a second off Tulovic through sector number 1. I mean, Aegerter has got a really hectic schedule at the moment, obviously balancing Moto E duties with World Supersport, and he's doing really well there. 2 wins in Misano since the last time we saw him in Barcelona in this series in World Supersport, so he's having to juggle both series and adapt to quite, well, radically different machinery in between those times.
He's starting to claw back the times too. Tulovic though through the second split, he took such a different line through turn 7 it looked like, and towards turn 8 as well. Very impressive from the Swiss rider. Through turn 11 he comes down, begins the long run back towards the GT chicane. He's going to pass through the third split. Will he have clawed back any more time? No, he hasn't. He's lost more to the German, as we can look at the surface temperature of that rear tyre as well, as he puts it on its side to the left through Ramshoek. You can see it skyrocket towards 140 degrees Celsius. Now then, the final challenge, the Gert Timmer chicane, the GT chicane. Over he comes. Will he absolutely nail the exit it, claw back any more time. Where will Aegerter place? He goes third, provisionally speaking.
Yeah, decent effort that from Aegerter, but I don't think that's going to be enough for a front row start for him tomorrow because, well, we obviously have the two quickest guys of the weekend going so far, and judging by Eric Granado's record on e-pole this year, he's going to be a real force. But this is the man of the weekend, you have to say, in some respects.
The man of the moment in general, I'd say, with leading the Cup standings as well. Alessandro Ciccone, the revelation of 2021, perhaps.
Yeah, Ciccone's been so good in the three races that we've had so far, obviously scoring that brilliant victory back at Jerez, and well, last lap fight for the ages with Granado in Le Mans. He was a little bit more subdued last time out in Barcelona, but even then, on what was a relatively difficult day, he still came home with a valuable fourth place. So Granado, that is nice and clean, you have to say, from the Brazilian.
Yeah, very, very smooth indeed out of turn 5. But how quick is it? It's a tenth quicker than Tulovic at the first split then. So could this be another run for pole position from Granado? He gets a bit unsettled in towards turn 6 now. Tips it left towards turn 7. Just all action, all style is the Brazilian number 51. He's a 10th under still at the second split then. This would be very, very nice indeed. Perfect for a front row, at least at the moment, for Granado. Looking to make up for what he didn't manage to do in Barcelona and nearly crashes down there at turn 9. Has he lost too much time though? He comes through turns 10 and 11, maintaining some pretty serious corner speed, sliding the rear wheel out of turn 11 through turn 12 now. Third split, is he still up? He is! So he's not lost that much time anyways, Neil.
Incredible stuff from Granado. He's pretty much off the side of the bike in that moment through turn 9, but he's managed to regain his composure, keep his speed. Look at the way he hangs off his right foot coming through the ram's hook into the GT chicane. Will it be enough for a fourth straight pole?
Could it be for Granado? 4 from 4 in 2021. It is, potentially. He moves into provisional pole position with just one rider left to go here in e-pole. Alessandro Ciccone will be starting his flying lap very shortly. That pushes Dominic Aegerter out of the front row for sure. Well, I can't wait for tomorrow. Here comes then the World Cup standings leader for now, Alessandro Ciccone. One victory back at the first race in Spain, third in France, and then in Catalonia, that valuable fourth position. He is 1 point ahead of Aegerter in the standings coming into this weekend.
Yeah, he's raced here this TT Circuit Assen in the past in Supersport a couple of years ago, so he knows it quite well. And well, he is in attack mode very much from the first session of the weekend. He's been considerably faster than the rest, as we just lose momentarily pictures from on board, but he was nice and clean through there.
That was just at the absolute perfectly wrong moment, wasn't it, as he is well in touch at the first split there. Not under at the first split, but definitely in touch. If he keeps this sort of a gap, he will find himself on the front row here.
Yeah, you have to imagine that Granado will have lost a couple of tenths of a second with that moment through turn 9.
And Ciccone would have certainly lost a couple of tenths of a second perhaps in that massive moment there on the exit of turn 8. This has been the most spectacular e-pole session I think we've ever had, Neil. Just riders really putting everything into this singular lap. That's what we love to see.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be more smoke billowing off his rear tyre as he comes through these rights.
He's gaining time on Granado though, despite that moment out of turn 8. This could be something special from the Italian. He's under at the third split then. Just a few more corners to go for the Italian. But look at that.
Raining.
It's raining. You're kidding. You're joking. Well, what does that do then? What will happen to his lap? He comes through 3 more corners to go. Ciccone, will he get the pole position? It's drama right at the end here in Moto E-pole. Across he comes. It's third for Ciccone. Or is it?
Well, he punches the tank in frustration there. Jordi Torres looks on. He's been relegated off the front row, unfortunately for him. Ciccone looked like he had rescued that lap through the third split. But, well, then we had the
rain flag.
The
well,
rain
what
flag
happens then?
on the start and finish straight. Now, will that have affected his performance? Because
hang on, it's properly raining. You can hear it from our in our headsets. from
For
the onboard
record,
camera.
There's nothing down in pit lane at the moment. Oh, wait, maybe
Well,
a little bit, but almost
it's all
nothing.
around the
Still sunny
track
down here.
Yeah, it's all around the track at the moment then with the LED boards, but I can't see anything outside of our commentary position. They've got umbrellas up.
Yep.
So what happens to his time? Does he get to do it again? Do we wait? What? I don't know what happens. I mean, that's so cruel. I mean, he's literally the final rider in the final sector, and it starts raining.
Yeah,
How extraordinary is that?
Yeah, it was all action stuff from Zacconi as he came round. This is turn 8. Watch the rear end here as he gets it way out of line. Whoa. Manages to correct that. And impressively, he still gained time on Granado in this section.
God, you see the dark line laid off the rear tyre as well.
Super quick, super clean through the long series of rights that led on to the back straight. And, well, even though he'll be a little bit miffed to have missed out on pole, Zacconi will be starting tomorrow's race from the front row. So, yeah, we're just hearing from Fran that it is actually properly raining now in pit lane. So, just managed to get this Moto E pole session in before the rain came. You wonder whether there were one or two little spits of rain perhaps on Zacconi's visor and his windshield before he crossed the line. Didn't seem to make too much difference though, just 1/10 off at the end.
Well, that was pretty spectacular and dramatic, wasn't it, Neil? That's just one of the many reasons why we love Moto E. Hope you guys enjoyed that at home as well. And he's pointing at the bike and is shaking his head, so I wonder what he's doing that for. We'll find out hopefully at some point. Well, we've just been told in our ears that it was deemed that the rain did not affect his lap, therefore the results will be as is. So pole position then, 4 from 4 for Granado, Tulovic in second and Alessandro Zacconi in third position. That is extremely impressive indeed. He's getting ready to chat to the Italian media already then. How about it, Neil?
Yeah, and Zacconi might be a little bit miffed with that, but it's still his best qualifying of the season. He hasn't been on the front row so far. As you can see, Hervé Poncharal.
It's proper raining in down in pit lane now, isn't it? Northern Talent Cup race 1 of round 4 up next. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, you can see the rain there from the onboard camera on Zacconi's bike. Pretty clearly falling. So we just managed to dodge that shower.
In the nick of... Goodness me.
Yeah, and we're just hearing from race direction that when the rain did start falling on Zacconi's e-pole lap, it was actually in the sectors that he had already completed, so he just managed to miss that shower.
You don't get more fortunate than that, really, do you, when it comes to a rain shower starting to fall? Well, here is Alessandro Zacconi. What does he make of it all? Freeze down in Parc Fermé with Fran.
Well, Alessandro, it wasn't quite, but it's the first front row Moto E. You've been the fastest man all weekend. Now we've got a bit of drama with the rain coming down so late. Talk us through that session for you.
Yeah, I'm not too much happy because in my lap, when I was on T3, it started to rain, and I close a little bit the throttle. I'm happy for the first row, but it was fourth all the weekend, and yeah, I'm happy, but not too much. So we are fast for tomorrow, and we have to stay concentrated in this, and nothing.
Well, congrats on the front row anyway.
Thank you very much.
So, sounds like Zacconi disagrees with race direction that he passed through the section already that had started raining. But hey ho, front row, that will do for a cracking race tomorrow.
Yeah, it certainly should do. You have to imagine this guy will be in the running for the victory. And well, Zacconi been super fast all weekend long. The same could be said for Lukas Tulovic, who had another strong qualifying session. He's on the front row like he was back in Jerez, and he's done a Parc Fermé with Fran.
Well, Lucas, obviously you've had some good qualifying speed already in Moto E, so it's not a first for you, but you must be happy with that lap. You're right up there and ready to fight tomorrow.
Yeah, the first point, I'm happy that the e-pole was half hour before, so now it's it's obviously raining, No, I've been fast all weekend. I love this track here in Assen, and we knew that we can be minimum in the qualifying, and also the pace and the speed is very good for the race tomorrow. So let's wait for the weather condition. And in the E-pole lap, I had like one big slide in turn 5, and I went a little bit too much wide, so I was pushing. But in the end, it's second position, so it's really good one. And thanks to my team for the great job, and we fight tomorrow.
Congratulations, good luck on Sunday.
Thank you very much, Fran and Lukas Tulovic there. Cracking performance from the German rider. Another front row for him in Moto E. Just all action in E. Look at the dark lines being laid by the rear Michelin tyre of that bike. Absolutely sensational. We really did get away with it because it's not just raining, it's pouring down in pit lane now. The Northern Talent Cup race coming up next is well and truly going to be very wet here at the TT Circuit Assen. You'll be able to catch that on the Northern Talent Cup social media pages. But what about this then? 4 from 4 for Eric Granado in 2021. How's he feeling?
Well, Eric, you remain unbeaten on Saturday. Another E-pole for you. You must be happy with that. And to bounce back from drama in Barcelona, you've had pace here all weekend, and now you'll start from the front again tomorrow.
Yes, very happy. You know, we did a great job all the season. You know, every track we were fast. This weekend also I had a very good feeling in every session. And in the E-pole, you know, it's always tense. You can't do mistakes. I did some small mistakes and I lost some time. But I'm happy I take it. Finally, another pole position. We now just need to focus on the race, have more lucky and do our best and try to finish in a good position for the championship.
Well, congratulations. Parabéns.
Obrigado, Brasil.
Thank you very much, Eric Granado. Well then, what drama awaits us tomorrow in Moto E? That is the big question of them all, because this was just E-pole. I'm pretty exhausted after that. Got another race to commentate now as well. Goodness gracious me. Can't wait for race 4 of 2021 tomorrow then. That was absolutely brilliant, Neil?
Yeah, a lot of drama